What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck idea that I may or may not have almost completely quote-unquote borrowed from Aura, and that is a deck centered around both versions of Drampa, Yveltal and Rayquaza, but mainly Drampa-GX is what this is essentially a showcase of. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out a lot. And let's just do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, in the video games, Drampa has the very unique normal and dragon type combination, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure has never been done before. I'm probably wrong, let's be real, but I don't think a normal dragon Pokemon has ever been in the game until Drampa, and that got me thinking about all the other Pokemon that have very unique type combinations. And so my question of the day is centered around that. What is your favorite Pokemon that has a unique type combination? Now, I don't just mean there has to be a single Pokemon that has that type. I mean, you can have a favorite Pokemon like within a line, like Haunter, for example. Like, there technically are 3 Poison and Ghost Pokemon because Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar. But, well, I guess 4 if you include Mega Gengar, but that's still Gengar. So there's only 3. But you can still have Haunter as your favorite unique type combination Pokemon because all of the Pokemon with that unique typing are within the same family. If you had to ask me, I would say that my favorite unique type combination would be Mamoswine at Ice Ground. Now, let's be real, Mamoswine will not be taking very many hits considering Ice Ground is a pretty horrendous defensive typing, as ignoring Thick Fat. Now keep in mind, I'm ignoring Thick Fat. You are weak to grass, water, fighting, steel, fire, just to name a few. I think I might have actually named all of them, but I probably didn't. But, I mean, still, you're not going to be taking any hits. You resist basically nothing except for electric attacks. So, Mamoswine is not going to be taking any hits, but the combination of ice and ground as type coverage is absolutely monstrous on an offensive Pokemon. And you guys, if you guys watched before I got into the TCG, you know me, I don't like defense, I just like all-out offense, and so Mamoswine fit perfectly because nothing was switching in very easily to Mamoswine with that type coverage and that insane attack that it has, and also just the fact that it had versatility with Rocking, Endeavor, Knockoff. Mamoswine's one of my favorite Pokemon, and before Keldeo came out, it was my favorite Pokemon. So yeah, Mamoswine is my favorite unique type combination Pokemon, and I'm very curious to hear what your guys' are, so leave them in the comment section down below and why. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, it is quote-unquote centered around Drampa-GX, but really all of these guys work together in a very, very cool way, so big shout-outs to Aura for coming up with this deck list. Otherwise, I would have just done the generic Drampa Garbodor, which isn't as fun. This one is very, very cool, and I really love the idea behind it, and that is get energy on the board, and then just keep it on there, keep moving it around, and then take big knockouts when you need with Drampa and Yveltal. But I'll get to that in a second. Drampa-GX, 180 HP, so actually pretty bulky. I mean, I like the bulk. It would have been nice if it had 190, because, I mean, hey, who wouldn't take 10 extra HP? But otherwise, I mean, 180, just fine with me. Righteous Edge, 1 energy for 20. This is reminiscent of the old Cobalion EX, or Cobalion, however you want to say it. I say Cobalion, I'm sorry. Where you hit for 20, so not a lot, but I mean, 1 energy, 1 for 20, you can't expect a whole lot more, and you discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Basically, the 20 damage is just kind of a bonus Righteous Edge. Discard a special energy, get that off the board, get rid of the DCE that has become so popular in this game, and go from there. So Righteous Edge is actually a pretty solid 1 energy attack. For 3 energy, this is the attack that really you use most often with Drampa, and that is Berserk. For 3 energy, does 80 plus 70 if your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them. So all of a sudden, if just like you have Yveltal, or actually no, the more likely scenario, you have Rayquaza or Baby Yveltal take a hit early while they're accelerating energy, but it's not a big knockout, just a little damage, setting them up to be knocked out later. Then you retreat them to the bench, all of a sudden you send Drampa in that you accelerated the energy to, and then you Berserk for 150 damage, 180 with the Choice Band, and Yeah, that's an absurd amount of damage. So this is the attack that that you mainly use with this deck, and trying to keep energy on board as well. So yeah, you Berserk. Well, you go Berserk, knock out a Pokemon when you need to, and then Big Wheel GX. Incredible GX attack. It really forces your opponent's hand. You shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 10 cards. Yeah, this is kind of a, well, your opponent can just end, yes, but it forces them to end. It keeps them from being able to Sycamore, Lysandre, Hex Maniac that turn, and yeah, I mean, it basically just forces them to end you, otherwise you're going to have an absolute crapload of resources at your disposal. And one thing that actually, you know what, I'll get to that in a little bit when I talk about these supporters, so remind me in a little bit that I needed to talk about Hala when I get to the supporters. So yeah, 2 Drampa, just because, I mean, yeah, this deck is centered around it, but we have enough other attackers that we don't need a huge line of Drampa. We're also running 2 of the Baby Drampa for Amass, another way of energy acceleration. We are mainly energy accelerating from the discard pile with Oblivion Wing and Turbo Storm, but this Baby Drampa also has ways of accelerating energy from the deck. With Amass, you search your deck for a basic energy card and attach it to this Pokemon. So, I mean, just another method of energy acceleration, and this also, its second attack fits in perfectly with this deck strategy. Power Cyclone, 3 for 80. I mean, not fantastic, but on a non-EX basic Pokemon, it's a solid attack. I mean, it's reminiscent of old Tornadus, I believe. And you move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon, basically hit for 80, move the DCE off of it onto like Rayquaza, Drampa, or Yveltal, just save the energy. That's what it's all for. So, yep, 2-2 of both Drampas, 2 Rayquaza for Turbo Storm, for a DCE, hit for 30, and attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. A little bit more expensive in terms of its cost of attacking and accelerating, but it has stronger acceleration. And then we also have Baby Yveltal for cheaper acceleration with Oblivion Wing, 1 for 30, and you attach a Darkness energy for more specific and, I guess, less strong, or weaker acceleration. There we go, not less strong, weaker acceleration. But either way, both of these guys definitely have the times where they come in very, very handy and are very useful. So excellent, excellent combination of these guys. And then finally, the other main attacker of this deck, 2 Yveltal-EX with Evil Ball, Y Cyclone. Evil Ball hits for a ton of damage, and then Y Cyclone just goes along with the whole theme of conserving energy and keeping it on the board and moving it around. So yeah, that is the line of Pokemon. We are also running 1-2 of Lele and Shaymin, just because, I mean, that's kind of become what my standard, not the standard, my standard, just because I like having the non-supported draw support with Shaymin, but Lele, you just can't beat that. And also, it fits in perfectly with this deck because you can Power Cyclone to it, you can Y Cyclone to it, you can Power Storm, Oblivion Wing. It's just another attacker that you can use in this deck. So Lele is very strong in this deck as well. As for the items, now you might be thinking, wait, there's no 2 combination of Rescue Stretcher or Field Blower. How do I know that this is an Aura deck? I'll get to that in a little bit. But as for the items, running 1 Field Blower just to get rid of those pesky tools, get rid of the pesky stadiums that are bugging us. 4 Max Elixir to help accelerate energy from the deck, because while we like accelerating mainly from the discard pile with Rayquaza and Yveltal, Max Elixir means, oh, I don't even have to use my attack to accelerate this turn. 1 Super Rod, because sometimes we do overextend a little bit, and, sorry, my voice just kind of got muddy right there. Sometimes we do overextend a little bit in this deck by getting too many energy in the discard pile. So while I could see Rescue Stretcher in this spot, because, I mean, we have Rayquaza and Yveltal with ways of being able to accelerate energy from the discard pile, sometimes you just want to put a couple back in the deck because maybe all of your Max Elixir are prized and you want to be able to hit those late game, or just other scenarios. Plus, you really don't need to put Pokemon back all that often. If you do, it's like 1 or 2 at the most. So you might as well get another energy back while you're doing that. 4 Ultra Ball guaranteed, get us what we want when we want. 4 via Seeker, let us reuse all of our supporters. And then as for these supporters, running 3-3-2 of Sycamore and Lysandre, just what I've been running recently. I really, really like it. You know that it's a Stixified version of the deck if there's a Kukui in there. I freaking love Kukui in this format because, I mean, you can search it out with Lele. Extra 20 damage has come in absolutely huge in a lot of situations. One, Hex Maniac shuts down abilities from our opponents because, as you can see, this deck does not rely on abilities a lot. The only abilities that it relies on are Shaymin and Lele, both of which are generally, well, they're abilities that you only need for one turn. They're not abilities that you consistently rely on, so you can play them then Hex Maniac. Another card in here is Olympia, just kind of goes with the theme of preserving our Pokemon, be able to switch them out and heal 20 damage off of them. Like when you power Cyclone from a Drampa onto a Drampa-EX or Drampa-GX, and you do not happen to have an Alter of the Moon up, you can just let Baby Drampa take the hit, and then Olympia heal off some damage into Drampa-GX, and then Berserk for a ton of damage. So Olympia just has a ton of synergy in this deck, particularly with longevity and switching around. How you know it's an Aura deck is with Pokemon Fan Club. Pokemon Fan Club is something that Aura absolutely loves, and I decided to give a try in this deck. I still prefer items because, yeah, Pokemon Fan Club does kind of help with the whole Garbodor aspect of the deck and helps with the Garbodor matchup, but I don't know. I still just find, you know what, I'd rather draw into or Ultra Ball. Yeah, it puts more items in the discard pile, but if I use my supporter for the turn, I would rather N or Sycamore as opposed to Fan Club, but I told him I'd try it out, so I'm trying it out in this deck. 4, Alter of the Moon, because, I mean, hey, it gives us essentially free retreat, because Drampa 2, 2, 1, that's a Shaymin. We have 2, both Drampa have 2, both Yveltal have 2, Rayquaza has 1, and then Shaymin and Lele both have 1 as well. So with the Darkness Energy attached, every Pokemon in this deck has free retreat, which is very crucial to the strategy of moving energy around and preserving Pokemon, and also preserving damaged Pokemon on the bench for Berserk to be able to hit for maximum damage. Oh, the supporter that I forgot to talk about in this deck is Hala, and this is a deck that you can definitely use Hala in, because Big Wheel GX is a type of GX attack that you would use early game, to where you can get good effects from Hala later, where it's essentially a shuffle, draw 7. However, I am very, very, very hesitant to use Hala, just because, I mean, I've used Big Wheel in about half my games that I play with this deck. I mean, not consistently enough to warrant using Hala, to where it would essentially just be a shuffle, draw 4, a one-sided shuffle, draw 4, which, okay, if I'm going to shuffle, draw 4, I'd rather just put a Judge in my deck. So, I'm very torn on whether or not I would put Hala in this deck. If you're the type of person that wants to use Big Wheel GX every single game on your first turn, then 100% use Hala, because shuffle, draw 7 is absurdly powerful. However, if you're like me and you kind of prefer to Turbo Storm or Oblivion Wing turn 1, then I would kind of recommend just going with the standard supporters. But I just wanted to give a mention to Hala so you guys know that that is an option in this deck, particularly because Drampa is an early game GX attacker. Finally, for the items running tools, running 2 Choice Band, 1 Fighting Fury Belt just for longevity on our basics, and then Choice Band just for the little added attack power that it gives against EXs and GXs. 4 DCE, just, I mean, everything runs on DCE except for Baby Yveltal, so we want to have the max number of that. And then 10 Darkness Energy, very heavy count of energy in this deck, because we want to have the max number of DCE, but also plenty of Darkness Energy so that we can hit Max Elixir pretty consistently. So either way, I've talked for way too long. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action.
Alrighty, we have found one against a PHP Mellow with a Water, Psychic, and Normal deck, so I honestly have zero idea what my opponent is running. We do win the coin flip, meaning we will get to go first. In this deck, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, I like going first, but this deck actually does not necessarily mind going second, just because it does have ways of getting attacks off, whether that be with, like, Rayquaza's attack, Oblivion Wing, that type of stuff. So, I mean, this deck has ways of being able to attack turn 1, so I'm not too overly worried about it. And, alright, so, not an ideal start, by any means. Mostly because I don't have a supporter. And we see, what? We see a Mega Turbo and a Crushing Hammer. I honestly have zero idea what type of deck my opponent is running, but we'll see. We'll definitely see what's going on. Luckily, we do get a Mulligan card. Hopefully it's something we can use, and it's not. Well, I get an Olympia, so I mean, that's something. Because I saw the Crushing Hammer, I'm thinking that maybe there might be Enhanced Hammer. So I'm going to go ahead and play down just the regular Darkness Energy onto my Drampa. That thing has only a 50% shot on each coin flip to get discarded, so I'm just kind of playing the odds right now. See an immediate Crushing Hammer. See another immediate Crushing Hammer. Luckily, my opponent gets tails on both. So you know what? I don't feel bad because you're running Crushing Hammer in a Mega Evolution deck. And it's a Mega Blastoise deck. Well, at least I'm a... Okay, yeah. I was about to say, it looks like a Mega Blastoise deck considering we saw Mega Turbo and we saw an Evolution. Or we saw a Mega Turbo and then we saw a Blastoise, so I'm assuming it's a Mega Turbo, but by seeing the Spirit Link, it is confirmed. And what I can do here... Huh... I can, do I want to just Olympia and then Berserk for like 90 damage? I think I'm gonna hold off. No, I'm just gonna, yeah. I'm just gonna switch into my Drampa, and then this way I can big wheel, get a fresh hand. My opponent played Sycamore, but he did not play anything else. So I mean, at least this way my opponent is forced to end me if he doesn't want me to have my hand of 10 cards. So, I'm going to go ahead and use the GX attack on this one. We do see the Mega Blastoise come down immediately, so that's a little bit scary, and my opponent does end me, so kind of unfortunate right there. I mean, that's obviously the play you go for when your opponent big wheel GXs with Drampa, but this hand is a lot more workable. I have a Drampa active. I have an Yveltal on the bench in my hand that I can play down onto the bench to try to get some more energy in play. If they get discarded, I have a bunch of different plays that I can make. Actually, this is very nice as well. So let's Ultra Ball, get rid of Sycamore and N, grab an Yveltal-EX, because that's honestly the only one that I'm kind of missing at this point. I don't think Dragon Drampa will be doing too much. I could Shaymin, but I don't want to give my opponent that free target down, so I'm gonna not do that. I draw into Lele, so that's pretty nice. But for the time being, just going to go ahead and play the energy onto Drampa. Max Elixir, we hit those, play that onto Yveltal, get rid of the Rough Seas, play down my Ultra of the Moon, and then Berserk for 90 damage. It's not going to do too much. I mean, it sets the Manaphy up to be 2-hit KO'd later. It only gets healed from 3 turns with Rough Seas. So basically, I'm just forcing my opponent to play down another Rough Seas if he doesn't want his Manaphy to get knocked out. And one thing about the Mega Blastoise, this is actually a perfect matchup for Drampa, because my opponent does, I mean, he does pretty good damage to me. 120 and then 30-30 to bench Pokemon is never considered bad, but the fact that my bench Pokemon will only be getting hit for 30, while I can power up Berserk to 150, 160 with a Fighting Fury Belt, that's just all the better for me. So I'm in a very good position right now. I was able to get an attack off. I'm able to start powering up my Yveltal in the background. Yeah, my opponent will be able to. He'll be able to retreat his Manaphy and get that thing out of dodge. And okay, just ends the turn by Mega Evolving. That is fine with me. What I can do right here is play another energy onto my Yveltal-EX. Or do I want to play it on Yveltal? Yeah, let's do that. Let's grab a Lele. I want to go ahead and try to grab my Lysandre. Just take out that Manaphy, get that thing off the board. And also, I mean, again, having Lele on the field is never a bad thing per se. And yeah, let's just knock out the Manaphy with the Berserk, take a couple prizes, and see what we can get going there. Maybe an energy. Ooh, a DCE. DCE is very, very nice. I'm still paranoid about the Enhanced Hammer, just because I feel like that's somewhere in there, because you rarely run Crushing Hammer without Enhanced Hammer, and it looks like my opponent is going to attack with Blastoise. Well, that means I'm going to be able to hit him for a ton of damage with Berserk, or I can just Lysandre up the Shaymin and knock that thing out with a plain Berserk, but I think the play is to just attack the Blastoise. And what's my opponent Lysandering in? Huh. Bringing up Lele. Okay. I see what he's doing. But at the same time, all I have to do is just retreat my Lele into my Drampa in order to be able to hit for some very, very good damage. For the time being, let's Ultra Ball, get rid of N and get rid of N and my other Ultra Ball. Let's grab another Lele just in case. I mean, I'm not going to play it this turn. What I am going to do this turn is grab my Olympia. That way I can not only heal up my Lele just a little bit, I'll be able to go into my Drampa. I don't have to waste an attachment. I get to hold on, well, I get to play the DCE, not hold on to DCE, and then still go for a Berserk for 160 damage, and now my Drampa is not in any danger of being knocked out this turn. Because, I mean, if he had attacked the Drampa, he would have been able to get a 2-hit knockout on me. But either way, I'm in a very, very good position. Yeah, he can Lysandre up my Lele if he wants to, but you know what? That's not a big deal, because, I mean, that's 2 prizes. I'd be able to knock out another Blastoise, and I still have my Lysandre to be able to bring up the Shaymin to get a knockout with Berserk whenever I want to. So this match is going very nicely for us. Admittedly, like I said, this is probably more in our favor simply because Hydro Bombard does little bits of damage to the bench, but even just 10 damage turns Berserk from an 80 base power to 150. So just that little bit of damage that my opponent spreads with Hydro Bombard makes my attacks that much more powerful. We see the Escape Rope. I'm going to go into my Yveltal just because, I mean, that's the thing that... I mean, I can attack next turn if my opponent doesn't have anything else. And what's he going to do? Okay, he's going to Pokemon Center Lady. That is honestly fine with me, I think. Need to see how much HP he has left. Okay, so just enough. Ooh, there's an Alter in the Moon. That's nice. Well, that's perfect, so I don't even have to attack with Yveltal. Let's go ahead and Drampa, VS Seeker, grab that Lysandre so we can bring up my opponent's powered up Mega Blastoise and knock that thing out with Berserk. My opponent doesn't seem to have much of anything at all, and also what I can do next turn is simply play down my Tapu Lele in order to grab my last VS Seeker to be able to bring up the Shaymin and win the game off of that. So I'm in a phenomenal position right here. I mean, my opponent is down to, well, my opponent is simply down to Blastoise and Shaymin, while I have, you know, all of this stuff that I have. And we see, oh no, we see the Crushing Hammer. Please don't, okay. So, I mean, kind of a matter of time until my opponent got that, if I'm being completely honest, because he did miss the first couple turns, which allowed me to get in this good position. So, I mean, it's kind of fitting that he's able to draw into it now just to make the game more interesting at the very least. My opponent does bring out a Manaphy, so I'm curious as to, is he just, okay, he's just going to retreat into the Hoopa, let the Hoopa take a hit, and we can go from there. I get a Choice Band. That's actually pretty nice. I'm going to slap that onto my Yveltal. Let's play the Lele down. What type of supporter do I want to get? Because Kukui, if I had the energy to Berserk, would win me the game. But I think at this point, I'm just going to Lele for a Sycamore and then just draw into a fresh hand, see what I can get. I get a Lysandre. Do I get an energy? I even get one of those as well. I get a Field Blower too. So let's play the energy onto my Drampa. That way I can Berserk at the very least. And actually, you know what? Do I want to retreat? Let's actually retreat into Rayquaza and then Turbo Storm so that I can get a couple, well, not a couple energy, just one more energy on board at the very least. Because, I mean, I can always manually retreat this Rayquaza. I'm not going to be getting a knockout on the Hoopa this turn anyway, so I might as well set it up with some damage, not put my Drampa in harm's way unless he plays an Escape Rope. Drampa has more HP, so I'm going to throw that thing up there. And if my the only way my opponent can stay in this is if he disrupts my hand. If he can end me, then he has a chance to stay in the game. But instead he just delinquents. That is fine with me. I mean, his supporter is gone for the turn. I mean, I have the Lysandre in hand. All I have to do is bring up one of anything that he has on his bench to win the game. So at this point, we win. It's just a matter of it's a matter of how we want to style. Do we want to just go for the knockouts on the Manaphy or the Shaymin, or do we want to make the pro play and knock out the Hoopa because that has more HP? I think you guys already know which one I'm going for. I'm going for the higher HP Pokemon. Hoopa does not have overall more HP because Manaphy has 120 while Hoopa had 110, but Hoopa has 170 total, so go for the style play, knock out the Hoopa, and we are able to win the game. So Drampa was able to come through. Again, like I said, the matchup was in our favor due to Hydro Bombard hitting our bench, which powered up Berserk to, well, rather, Berserk levels, and Drampa was just able to run all over my opponent. So in this match, you didn't necessarily get to see the type of energy moving around that this deck is designed to do, but still, a win's a win. Let's try to find another one. Maybe we'll get to move energy around with this next match. Alrighty, we have found another one against Reina 15X with a Fighting, Psychic, and Normal deck. So I guess everybody's just pairing whatever type with Psychic and Normal today. But we do get to go first again, which is very nice. Not sure what my opponent is running. Actually, now I do. Well, at least I'm pretty sure. Looks like a Passimian deck, which is bad news for Drampa, but good news for the rest of my deck because I have resistance. I do start off with... Wow, voice crack. I do start off with an Yveltal, but that's not bad, actually, because I can potentially Oblivion Wing. If I can Kukui, I can knock out a Mew while Oblivion Winging, and it also has the resistance to fighting. So I'm going to have to be very careful about how I play Drampa this game, because, I mean, that thing is weak to fighting and can get knocked out in one hit. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm just waiting on my opponent at this point. I mean, I'm gonna play out my hand. Actually, don't want to hold on to the DCE. So, yeah, confirmed Passimian. Let's get rid of the N and the Darkness Energy to grab... Let's grab an Yveltal-EX. Play that down, play the normal on, play the regular darkness onto my active Yveltal. And the reason I am just passing instead of Sycamoring is because I want to hold on to the DCE. I can go ahead and play that next turn, and then I can Sycamore away my hand. And also, I mean, Field Blower is nice too, in case my opponent plays down like a Fighting Fury Belt, Choice Band, anything that would boost the damage done to my attackers. So I'm just gonna go with that play for right now, and any tools that they could play as well. We see the town map come down. Okay, my opponent's playing Bursting Balloon. Actually, you know what? I should have expected that. I don't know why I didn't. So it looks like Bursting Balloon is the tool of choice for my opponent. Plays that onto his active Passimian. And you know what? That's okay because I have the Field Blower. So I can get rid of not only my opponent's Bursting Balloon, but also his Skyfield as well. So I'm actually not in a bad position. I'm very glad I held on to my hand instead of Sycamoring it away. And I even get a Choice Band too. So let's play the... Not sure how much help that's going to come in, because my opponent doesn't seem to play that many my opponent doesn't seem to play that many EXs or GXs, but Field Blower is going to come in handy right now. Get rid of the Bursting Balloon and the Skyfield, and then let's just Sycamore for a brand new hand. Okay. Let's see if I can hit this, and I do not. Slightly unfortunate right there. Do I want to play Dragon Drampa? No. For the time being, I'm just going to play Rayquaza. That way I have another way of recycling energy. Let's go ahead and Oblivion Wing. Grab one of those Darkness and put it onto my Yveltal. And, yeah, so pretty solid start for me overall. I'd like to get a Fighting Fury Belt onto my Yveltal-EX, just so it can obviously take hits better. And, okay. So he plays another Bursting Balloon. We see that one is prized. My opponent's going to play Puzzle of Time. Does he have Double Puzzle? That's the question. No, apparently he does not, and he's just going to puzzle to be able to Oranguru for one. Pretty solid play by my opponent. You want to get a card that you want with Oranguru, and this way he's not only able to control one draw, he's able to control two, because he controls his top deck, and then whatever. Well, he controls what he draws off Oranguru, and then what he top decks next turn. Or he could just discard his hand and then Ultra Ball for a Passimian. I mean, both plays are solid because now he can attack my Yveltal. And I have to be careful because I could potentially get knocked out this turn with If I attack into Bursting Balloon, I'll get knocked out this turn. I am going to go ahead and Max Elixir onto my Rayquaza. Let's go ahead and Lele for... Do I want to grab a Kukui or an Olympia? I think the play... Actually, you know what? Let's just grab Sycamore. I know I have one in the discard pile, but yeah, I mean, if Yveltal if Yveltal goes down, then it goes down. That's no skin off my back per se. But okay, I draw a pretty solid hand. Do I want to just let baby Yveltal take a hit, or do I want to try to discard it? I was hoping for an Altar of the Moon. That way I could just retreat for free, let Yveltal-EX take a hit, and go from there. But, you know what? I hate to do this, but let's manually retreat. Get rid of discard the DCE, and then, yeah, let's just Evil Ball. I could have played down my Drampa and Y Cyclone, but I'm just very worried about playing Drampa. Well, there's the Altar of the Moon. That's a little late, but I'm just worried about playing the Drampa because it can get knocked out very easily by a well-placed team play, and my opponent has a Hala. That's interesting. Not sure why you'd play Hala in a Passimian Mew deck, but I mean, unless he's playing like a random Drampa, but Drampa doesn't. I mean, it can work off DCEs, but it doesn't like. It needs another energy as well, not just the 4 DCEs that you would run off of in the typical Passimian Mew line. But we do see the Tauros come down, so maybe that's what my opponent is going for. The Hala with the GX attack. But at the same time, I mean, Tauros' GX attack is an attack that you use mid to late game. You don't use it like the first couple turns. So Hala essentially becomes a dead card in that time. So my opponent plays another Puzzle of Time to rearrange the top cards of his deck. That's going to be big. I wonder if that's going to come back and bite him later. My opponent does Choice Band up the Tauros. He's able to team play me for 50 damage. That's a little bit worrisome. But okay, now I'm going to play the Drampa down because I want to be able to save my energy and put it onto something that could actually like use it to get knockouts. So let's play down the Tapu Lele to grab, let's grab the Kukui. That way I can knock out the Passimian in one hit with Y Cyclone, but also draw myself some cards. That is never a bad thing to have, is a little bit of extra draw. Let's thin my deck. Let's grab... Doesn't really matter what I grab at this point. Okay, one Fighting Fury Belt is in there. I need to get that as soon as I can. Let's Kukui, get a couple cards. That is fine with me. And knock out this Passimian with Y Cyclone. And here's what this deck does. Now I'm starting to show that it just moves energy around. It hits for damage. Yveltal is getting damaged, so I just move energy onto a Drampa. If Drampa got damaged, I would try to retreat into Rayquaza or Yveltal to start recycling energy that I have in the discard pile. So, I mean, this is exactly what this deck is supposed to do at this point. Just move energy around, hit for damage, get it off of the Pokemon that is damaged, and we see the Mew get a Bursting Balloon. I think I should be fine. Yeah, that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Well, I mean, it can potentially knock out my Yveltal with the attack. Well, with the damage, recoil damage from Bursting Balloon. This is actually really nice if my opponent plays Skyfield down, because now I can play down my other Yveltal and then discard a Lele if I'm able to counter Stadium. And okay, never mind. My opponent is able to just Horn attack. I kind of forgot that Tauros was a thing. And my opponent's going to go to 2 prizes, or to 4 prizes as well. For the time being, let's promote Rayquaza because it has more options of getting energy into the discard pile. Or it has more options of powering up Pokemon from the discard pile. So let's try to play the Drampa down. There we go. Play down the other Yveltal. That way I can get rid of something that's damaged later in the game. Okay, TCGO, don't do this to me. Okay, good. And then let's end my opponent, put him down to 4 cards, put me up to 4 cards, And this, okay, this works. I can work with this. I would like to, let's see. Do I want to counter? Yes, let's go ahead and counter it. Get rid of one of my Lele's. I mean, I could have Ultra Balled, got another energy in the discard pile, but I mean, I kind of need it to Turbo Storm, hit the Mew for 30 damage. Go ahead and just, I get power up the Drampa at this point. I mean, my opponent seems to have gone through, well, I guess he hasn't gone through all of his Passimian. He netballs, gets another Passimian. So, I mean, he's filled up his bench to where I think I'm okay with attacking with Drampa for the time being. Regardless, he's running out of special energy very quickly. He doesn't have another prize. He has 2 Passimian in the discard pile, well, now 2 in the deck. So I kind of had to start worrying about those as well. But my opponent has to be running low on DCEs. Yeah, he's going to be able to knock out my Rayquaza this turn, but he plays a DCE onto the Tauros. That's big. He's also used up his Puzzles of Time, or 2 of his Puzzle of Time as well. Third one comes down. Do we see it grabbing something? No, we don't. Wow, my opponent wasted his Puzzles of Time. I mean, not wasted because he got some benefit from it, but if I'm able to get rid of my opponent's DCEs, I actually think I can just win the game off of this. But regardless, my opponent does get the knockout on my Rayquaza. I mean, I can just promote Yveltal and then take a knockout with Oblivion Wing. Let's Pokemon, or let's Ultra Ball, actually, see what we can get. See if there's something good that we forgot about in the deck. Well, there's Drampa. Well, whatever. Hey, Drampa, how you doing? And then, let's just knock out this Mew with Oblivion Wing, get rid of yet another DCE from my opponent. Put it onto the Yveltal. That way, I mean, I have something that can take out Passimians pretty easily. And there's the Shaymin. Okay, glad I kept that spot open on my bench so that I can draw into some more cards next turn. Okay, we see a third Passimian come down and a Rainbow Energy. Why would you put a Rainbow Energy on Tauros? I'm actually very confused by that. I don't know why you'd put a Rainbow Energy on Tauros except to maybe get some damage? Question mark, but anything I attack you with will already put you in range of being able to Mad Bull GX me. I'm not sure. I'm really very confused by that play. We see the Horn Attack, knock out my Yveltal. That is fine with me. Actually, no, that's a little bit less fine because now I can't Berserk for maximum damage. Especially even if I drew the Choice Band. But okay, I draw some stuff. Let's go ahead and Max Elixir. I hit that. Great. Let's put it onto the Yveltal. See. Okay, I've gone through one DCE. Let's go ahead and just Super Rod some stuff back in the deck. The Lele in particular, mainly because I want to be able to draw into that to grab a supporter. And I'm actually going to Righteous Edge. Yeah, because it won't put him in range of being able to Mad Bull GX me for the knockout, and I'm also able to get rid of a DCE. I don't know how many my opponent has gone through. I mean, he's got to be close to running through all of it. And I know he doesn't have recursion from his, I know he doesn't have recursion from Puzzles of Time, because, I mean, that's just something that he will not have. He tries to bring up the Lele. That's honestly fine with me because I do have the Darkness Energy in my hand. And my opponent plays his last Puzzle of Time. I don't care. Let's see how many DCEs he's gone through. 4 via Seeker, 4 DCEs, and we also saw the special charge in there as well. So my opponent has no way of getting energy back. Like, all of his energy is gone. And yeah, he realizes that, so he does concede. And that was actually kind of a cool one because I got to show off Righteous Edge as well, and also got to move around energies like this deck is designed to do. Keep them on the board, just move them to different attackers, power things up with Rayquaza, and also with Yveltal when energy does get into the discard pile that I'm not able to move around. So that was actually a pretty perfect example of what this deck is designed to do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.